The Archive of Unsent Letters by Tony Angelo. The post office had been closed for years, but the building still smelled of paper and rain. Marjorie Hale, retired postal clerk, widow, and reluctant dreamer, was hired to help catalog the remnants before demolition. She thought it would be simple: sort, box, label, forget. But nothing about the letters was simple. The basement was colder than she expected. Rows of filing cabinets stretched into the dark, each drawer labeled with a year. The air hummed faintly, as if the building itself remembered every word ever written inside it. She opened the first drawer. Inside were envelopes, hundreds of them, all stamped but never sent. Each bore the same return address, the Archive of Unsent Letters. At first, she assumed it was a mistake, but the handwriting varied, some elegant, some frantic, some childlike. Each envelope was addressed to someone different, and every one was sealed. She picked one at random. The ink was faded, but the name was clear: Marjorie Hale. Her breath caught. She hadn't written it, she hadn't received it, but it was hers. She opened it carefully. Dear Marjorie, you don't know me, but I remember you. I was the one who watched you cry in the rain outside the bureau. You dropped a letter that day. I picked it up. I never mailed it. I think it was meant for me. The signature was smudged. The date was missing. The paper trembled in her hands. She brought the letter upstairs to the supervisor, a man named Elias Ward, quiet, polite, with the kind of eyes that looked like they'd seen too much. Where did you find this? He asked. In the basement, he frowned. That section isn't supposed to exist. What do you mean? The archive was sealed decades ago, he said. No one's been down there since the reassignment program. Marjorie felt a chill. Reassignment? Elias hesitated. It's complicated. Try me, he sighed. Back when the Bureau was still active, people were encouraged to write letters they'd never send. Confessions, regrets, things they couldn't say aloud. The Bureau collected them, analyzed them, and redistributed the emotional data. Redistributed? Balanced grief, he said. Traded guilt, equalized longing. Marjorie stared at him. You're telling me they reassigned feelings through mail? He nodded. And sometimes the letters wrote back. That night, Marjorie couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the letter, about the stranger who claimed to remember her. She didn't recall crying in the rain. She didn't recall dropping a letter, but she did recall the bureau. She'd been there once, years ago, after her husband died. She'd filled out a form, signed something she didn't understand, and walked away. Now she wondered what she'd given up. The next morning, she returned to the basement. The lights flickered. The air felt heavier. She opened another drawer. Another envelope, another name, Elias Ward. She hesitated, then opened it. Dear Elias, you told me the letters were harmless. You said they were just words, but words remember. They wait. They listen. You can't archive a confession. You can only delay it. Marjorie looked up. The room seemed to pulse. She heard faint whispers, paper rustling, drawers creaking, voices overlapping. She realized the letters were speaking. She ran upstairs. Elias was waiting. You opened another one, he said. How did you know? They always start whispering when someone breaks the seal. What are they? Echoes, he said. Residual emotion. The Bureau stored them here after the program ended. Why? To keep them quiet. Marjorie shook her head. They're not quiet. Elias sighed. They never are for long. Over the next week, the whispers grew louder. Marjorie began hearing them even when she wasn't in the basement. Sometimes they spoke through the vents. Sometimes through the radio, sometimes through her dreams. You dropped a letter, you forgot to send it. We remember. She started finding envelopes in her apartment, on the table, on the floor, inside her coat pocket. Each bore her name, each was sealed. Each was stamped with the same return address. The Archive of Unsent Letters. She brought one to Elias. I think they're following me, she said. He nodded. They do that. Why? They're trying to deliver themselves. To who? To whoever needs them. Marjorie frowned. Then why me? Elias looked away. Because you never finished your letter. She froze. What letter? The one you wrote after your husband died, he said. You addressed it to him, but you never mailed it. The Bureau archived it. How do you know that? He handed her a file. Inside was a copy of her handwriting. Dear Thomas, I forgive you for leaving, but I don't know how to live without the sound of your voice. She felt tears sting her eyes. I don't remember writing this. You did, Elias said, and now it's trying to come home. That night, Marjorie dreamed of the post office again. She was standing in the basement, surrounded by letters. Each envelope glowed faintly, like a heartbeat. She heard Thomas's voice. Soft, distant, familiar. "You wrote to me," he said, "but you never sent it," she whispered. "I didn't know how." "You don't have to," he said. "Just listen." The letters began to hum. The sound was warm, alive, human. It filled the room like light. When she woke, the apartment was silent. On the table lay a single envelope. It was addressed to Thomas Hale. The return address read, Marjorie Hale, the Archive of Unsent Letters. She smiled faintly. She didn't remember writing it, but she knew what it said. She took it to the old post office. The building was empty. The mail slot was rusted shut. She slipped the letter through anyway. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights flickered, the air shifted, and somewhere deep in the basement, a drawer clicked open. Elias found her there the next morning. She was sitting on the floor, smiling, surrounded by open envelopes. The whispers were gone. The air was still. "What did you do?" he asked. "I mailed it," she said. He looked around. "They're quiet." "They're home," she said. Weeks later, the demolition crew arrived. They cleared the building, boxed the remaining letters, and sealed the basement. But one drawer refused to close. Inside was a single envelope addressed to Elias Ward. He opened it. "Dear Elias, thank you for listening. The letters are safe now. The words have found their way back. If you ever need to speak, write to me. I'll hear you." He smiled. He folded the letter. He slipped it into his pocket. Outside, the rain began to fall. Soft, steady, familiar. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "I remember." And somewhere in the quiet heart of the city, a new letter began to write itself. Dear reader, you don't know us, but we remember you. Every word you never said is waiting. Every silence is a letter. Every memory is a stamp. The archive is open.